Welcome back to Tabletop Thoughts. Today we're going to be building a Schrödinger's scenario from a random table. Here is the humanoids D666 table from my Shadowdark campaign. What we will do is roll 3d6 using the results for each column, and then we will put together an encounter from that. Looking back at our D666 table, we see that the creature is goblins, 2d6 worth. The activity will be raiding, and the complication will be internal strife. Returning to our notepad, we will make some quick notes about the creature, the activity, and the complication. While we are writing this down, we have to start thinking about what could be going on here. But first, we need to roll and see how many goblins we actually had. From the table, it said that we had 2d6 worth, so we roll 2d6 and get 4, so there will be 4 goblins. Raiding, we stop and think. It should be something that it could be encountered in the field or something like that, so we will mark down it's a caravan of merchants that are passing between the towns. The next part will be the eternal strife. So what would be an eternal strife for a group of goblins? Well, maybe they are just arguing over who gets what from the hall. Goblins have always seemed like the type of creatures who would fight among themselves over who got the shiniest item from the hall or who got the first pick of the most delicious food. At this point, we should also think about what treasure the merchants were carrying. Is it mostly food and clothing and supplies like that for a local village? Or could it be arms for an ongoing war? It would all depend on the setting. So we could either roll that up now or just make a note in our file to roll on certain tables or certain treasure types. That way we'd have an idea in the future what we were thinking when we came up with this idea. You could even come up with a small read aloud text box that you could keep with your file, giving an idea of what you were thinking at the time. So you would have something to pull out, you could read, and as the players were talking among themselves, you could come up with the rest of the details. Here's an example. As you move further along the road, raised voices pierce the air, sharp and shrill. Up ahead, you spot the remnants of a merchant's caravan in disarray. 4 small figures, goblins, stand among the debris, arguing loudly and gesturing wildly at the scattered goods. Broken crates, spilled supplies, and torn fabric are strewn across the path, while the goblins seem preoccupied with their heated dispute. Nearby, 2 unconscious figures lie bound and gagged next to the damaged wagon. The goblins, distracted by their bickering, have yet to notice your approach. While your players are discussing their plans on what they're going to do, this is the point where you could figure out how to tie this encounter to your campaign world. Maybe this caravan belongs to a merchant from a local town that the players know. Maybe it's a relative of that merchant that the party could save, and that would get them in good with the merchant, maybe getting them a discount. It's all up to you at this point to put this together so it fits into your campaign. Here is the completed sheet that I would put into my folder. I list on top what the encounter is, in this case, the goblin encounter. Under that, I will put either a 1 or 2 sentence description of the encounter, so just a quick glance, I know what's going on here. If I have some read aloud text, I put it in a box right underneath that. I also include on the sheet any kind of stats that I need for enemies that are in the encounter. I also include any additional information that might be needed. In this case, I add additional information concerning the merchants. In case the party doesn't know any local merchants, I added 2 generic merchants that could just be dropped in here. I also include information about what happens if the party decides not to engage in the encounter. In this case, the goblins will take the two merchants back to their camp and either use them as slaves or they can be eaten. So this has been a quick video on how you can use a random table to create a Schrödinger scenario. In a future episode, we will see how we can take a published adventure for any tabletop RPG and use that to mine for a Schrödinger scenario that we can use to drop into your campaign. If you want to see more content like this, you can join us over at tabletop-thoughts.com. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep on gaming.